Hey there, folks. Today we're going to delve into a fascinating chapter of history, focusing on the life and tragic assassination of Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba was a pivotal figure in the history of African independence, known for his passionate advocacy for the liberation of the Congo from Belgian colonial rule. Here's a concise summary of his story. 1. Early life and influences. Patrice Emery Lumumba was born on July 2, 1925 in Onalua, in the Kasai province of the Belgian Congo. He belonged to the Tutela ethnic group, but his upbringing was not deeply tribal, a factor that later shaped his vision for a unified Congo. Educated in mission schools, he was exposed to Western ideas and became fluent in French, which helped him gain clerical jobs. He worked as a postal worker and beer salesman and later became a journalist, where he developed his political awareness. He was a self-educated man with a deep interest in African history, Pan-Africanism, and anti-colonialism. 2. Political awakening and the MNC. In the mid-1950s, as anti-colonial movements were rising across Africa, Lumumba began organizing for political change. He visited Belgium in 1956, where he saw both the hypocrisies of the colonial system and the possibilities for African self-governance. In 1958, he helped form the Mouvement National Congolais, MNC, a party that advocated for immediate independence, a centralized government, as opposed to federalism based on ethnic regions, Pan-African solidarity. Lumumba's MNC rapidly grew into a national force, uniting people across ethnic and regional lines, unusual in a deeply divided Congo. 3. Congo's independence and the famous speech. The Belgian government hastily arranged Congo's independence for June 30, 1960 under international pressure. At the ceremony, King Baudouin of Belgium gave a patronizing speech praising Belgian colonialism. Lumumba's response was electrifying. He discarded the prepared diplomatic script and declared, "Nous ne sommes plus vos singes. We are no longer your monkeys." He exposed the brutality of colonialism and declared the Congolese people's right to dignity and self-rule. Though he upset Belgian and Western diplomats, his speech inspired Africans across the continent. Lumumba became prime minister, while Joseph Kasavubu was elected president. However, the young nation had no experienced bureaucrats or officers. The Belgians had left the administration almost entirely in white hands. 4. Crisis of independence. Chaos followed independence. The army mutinied against Belgian officers. Belgian troops re-entered Congo under the guise of protecting citizens. Katanga, a mineral-rich province led by Moise Tshombe, seceded with Belgian and Western backing. South Kasai also attempted to break away. Lumumba appealed to the United Nations, but the UN forces under US influence refused to help him suppress the secession. Desperate, he turned to the Soviet Union, who agreed to send support. This alarmed the United States, Belgium, and their allies during the Cold War. They began to view Lumumba as a threat, possibly the next Fidel Castro of Africa. 5. Coup and assassination. In September 1960, President Kasavubu dismissed Lumumba. Lumumba tried to dismiss Kasavubu, creating a constitutional crisis. Colonel Joseph Mobutu, with CIA and Belgian backing, seized power in a military coup. Lumumba was placed under house arrest, escaped briefly but was recaptured. He was beaten, tortured, and flown to Katanga, where he was executed on January 17, 1961, along with 2 close allies. Belgian involvement in his killing was later confirmed. Belgian officers were present. His body was dismembered and dissolved in acid to prevent a burial site from becoming a symbol. In 2002, the Belgian government formally apologized for its role in his death, but the CIA's involvement remains murky and controversial. 6. Legacy and symbolism. Though he ruled for only a few months, Lumumba's legacy is profound. Martyrdom. He is remembered as a martyr for African unity, freedom, and dignity. Pan-African icon. Leaders like Nelson Mandela, Kwame Nkrumah, and Che Guevara praised his courage. Global inspiration. Streets, schools, and statues honor him across Africa and the world. In 2022, Belgium returned one of Lumumba's tooth fragments, the only remaining part of his body, to his family, symbolically closing a painful chapter in colonial history. 7. quotes that define his vision. Without dignity, there is no liberty. Without justice, there is no dignity. And without independence, there are no free men. The day will come when history will speak. Africa will write its own history, and it will be a history of glory and dignity. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to follow and subscribe for more fascinating tales from around the world. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.